Hey everyone, my name's Sophia and this is Billy the Ragdoll, and her little brother Nico is asleep somewhere in the house. Oh, he's there, his head's poking out of that little cat tower. So this video is just sharing the top 5 considerations if you are thinking about getting a ragdoll cat. Or maybe if you're new to your ragdoll cat journey, maybe you have recently purchased one and you're doing a bit of research online. So I will share from my own personal experience the things that I've learned, the tips that I would share with other people if they were looking at getting a cat. So this is purely based on my own wisdom, my own experiences. But I hope it's helpful. Please like, please subscribe, and do comment. Please let me know where you're at in your journey. I would love to hear from you and just build a little ragdoll cat community on this platform. So the first consideration that I would say is so important is remembering that ragdolls are indoor cats. So because they are indoor cats, they don't have the street smarts or the survival instincts to be able to stay alive if they did get outside. You know, they've been bred to be indoor cats. So with that comes more responsibility as their parent, as their owner. So you know, you really do need to be conscious if you're leaving windows open, if you're opening the front door. You really need to be mindful of those things to make sure that the cats don't get too curious and don't get outside. Because if they do, it's very common that they can actually get run over, or they can get stolen, because they are valuable pedigree cats, and people do recognise that, and they're also just super cute. So yeah, someone might just be stealing them to have them for their own. So obviously it comes with that aspect, with them being an indoor cat, but the other flip side is their world is a lot smaller because they're not experiencing anything outside of your home. They are going to be more dependent on you for intellectual stimulation, for play, for company, and just to really keep their lives enriched and interesting. So, you know, you really do need to consider that within your day, within your week and your schedule. You don't want to leave them alone for too long. You know, you don't want to be staying out the whole day for too long. I mean, they do tend to sleep a lot of the time, but they would get depressed, they would be upset if you weren't around, if you were out all day at work or out partying at night or socialising all the time. It's fine if it's once in a while, but you know, it's something that really is important to consider versus other breeds perhaps, where the cats can go outside and maybe they go to other people's houses as well. So, you know, there is that aspect too that comes with this responsibility. And then on top of that, if you are going to travel, whether it's going away for a weekend or you know, if you're going to go away on holiday, you need to consider who is going to look after your babies. So ideally you would have someone come into your home and take care of the cats, but if that isn't possible, you know, there are catteries. I wouldn't personally, my own personal sort of feeling is I don't feel comfortable leaving the cats at a cattery. I just don't think that they would like it at all. Just knowing their personalities, I think they would get quite depressed there. Cats really do love their territory, they love their home, they like structure, they like routine, they like familiarity and knowing that their scent is on everything. So ideally, if you can have someone just come into your home and take care of them. What I've done before is, you know, I've said to friends and people I know, I have to trust them if they're going to live in my home and take care of my babies. But you know, I've said to them that I'll pay for the flights because I'm in Scotland and they might be in England or another country. So I'll pay for the flights, I'll pay for a fridge full of food for you, or you know, you get to have a free pad for a week in a different part of the country, in a new area that you might not have experienced before. So you know, like kind of like a staycation. So you know, I've sort of pitched it in that way to encourage and have this kind of bench of people that I can rely on, because I travel for work, but we also do love going away, either around Scotland or going on holidays throughout the year. So that is something that's quite important. And also, really the duration of your holiday. Like if I was going away for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, it's quite a long time to ask someone to take care of the cats, but also for you to be away from them. Their owner is their world. So, they would miss you as well. And they would show it in their own sort of cat-like way. But that again, these are things to consider because they are an indoor cat breed. The second point of consideration is really linked to the first, but it's to do with their personality traits. Because they're affectionate, they're loyal, they are a bit more needy than other cat breeds, they are intelligent and they need that intellectual play and stimulation. So, you really do need to carve out time in your day to look after them, to spend time with them, to give them that attention that they need. They don't like doors being shut. They get major FOMO, fear of missing out. So, all of the doors in our house are always open. The bathroom door stays open because the litter tray's in there, and then we'd close it obviously if we're using it. But sometimes there have been occasions where the cats will knock on the door. They'll literally be like, open the door. So, again, because of their personality and just the type of relationship and bond that you will have with them, it needs to be a two-way thing. You need to be able to give that to them. You need to be able to give them that attention, that time, that play. The way they like to play as well is hunting games. So being able to be creative and find ways to keep them stimulated. Because they're so intelligent, you can play fetch with them, you can train them to respond to their names. So again, just investing that time into them. They're a living being and they're fully reliant and dependent on you. So really taking that responsibility and seeing it as a responsibility is important, I think. They're not just for Christmas. They're not just like an accessory. And I know that might sound a bit harsh, but it's really just understanding that this is a living being and you are their parent essentially. So that's point 2. The third consideration is the amount of fur that they have, so maintenance. My boy Nico, he is a quarter Persian, so he's 3/4 Ragdoll, and Billy is a full breed Ragdoll, but they do shed a lot of fur, particularly in the summer. But because Nico's also got that Persian within him, he's actually a lot more furrier than Billy. I have to brush him twice a day. I obviously can get away with not brushing him, but if I do, his fur really builds up, and it can mat, so he'll get almost balls of like knotted hair. Imagine if you didn't brush your hair, you'd get knots in there. He gets that, and they're usually under their arms or around their the back of their legs, close to their bum. So I have to be on it, brushing them. Billy doesn't really like being brushed, so I have a glove, like a glove brush. I got it off Amazon, so I sort of go over her like this with this just this glove that's sort of it's a bit like a brush, but a very gentle brush. I'll put a link to it in the description actually for you guys, in case you're interested, and to the other brushes that I use. So for Billy, she loves being brushed. Both of them love being brushed here. They love being brushed around their head. Nico does actually like the attention as well. He will start purring when I brush him, because for him it feels like he's getting some attention and some time with you. And he's Persian, so they do actually like, they're lap cats. They like being in your lap or just lying down and you just brushing them. So because of the amount of fur they have, I am hoovering every day. Me and my partner hoover every day. We dust because their fur gets everywhere. And at the current place we're in, it's black furniture, so you see it. I see it on the sofa, I see it on the TV unit, on the coffee table. So I then don't feel comfortable sitting down if I can see all this fur. So yeah, we have a routine every day of hoovering. And because of their litter as well, their litter tends to track around the house, or particularly around the bathroom floor. So every morning, and probably 2 to 3 times a day, we'll quickly give that hoover or a sweep. And then also, because of the amount of fur they're shedding, it will get on your clothes. So we have a number of lint rollers, cat fur brushes that I'll link to those in the description, but we have a routine. We have to do that regularly because it gets everywhere. And I actually now tend to look for clothes. I will check what the material is made out of, or I'll look at the type of material it is. And if I see that material won't really be as clingy to fur, I will, like if it's a bit smoother or silkier, I will buy it, because for me, then I feel more comfortable wearing it, because I know that I'm not going to have all this fur stuck to it. It's easier to come off. So yeah, when we have people over as well, it's something to consider when you have guests over. Some people don't like having fur on them. So it's difficult because the cats want access to their whole territory, but what some people do is they'll cordon off, even one room in their house, or a sitting room or a living room, to make sure that when they have guests over, there's at least one space that's fur free. But yeah, it's something obviously to consider, because their fur is part of them. It's like our hair, but obviously so much more. So it is something that you will constantly need to manage. I'm happy to do it, and actually it forces us to really be on it with the hoovering and the cleaning and the dusting. So actually I don't mind it, and I find cleaning a bit therapeutic. So it's not an issue for me. We have our routine, we just get on with it. But yeah, it can take a bit of adjusting to, especially if you have other people living with you. And then the fourth consideration is a big one, which is cost. Cats live, ragdoll cats, especially if they're indoor, their life expectancy is roughly 20 years. So this is a long-term commitment. And there's a number of costs that you have to think about. Obviously, the cost of buying them, they are pricey. They're not cheap, because they are a bit more rarer, but they're also pedigree. They're special cats. And they're pure breed, so that makes them a bit more expensive. So obviously there's that upfront cost, but then obviously before you buy them, I had to buy a litter tray. I had to make sure I had a bag, like a carry bag. I had to make sure that I'd bought the brushes and all those little accessories beforehand, a few toys, which to be honest doesn't cost a lot, but it can do depending on your income and your financial situation. But then the ongoing costs are really what I'm talking about here. So we buy the wet food for them, so they have cans of tuna and prawn, chicken, so that's wet food, and they have that 4 times a day. So one can, I'd say they probably have between them, it's a can and a half a day. So we tend to order those online once a month, and we'll have a number of different flavours for them. Obviously we have to buy dry food for them, and we try to buy the best, the food that has the highest meat content. So we wouldn't buy them Whiskers or Felix. These sorts of brands are more like McDonald's. They're like the equivalent of a McDonald's or fast food. They have less meat content. They're a bit more sort of junk food in a way, so they're not really good for cats in the long run. They can cause health issues. That was what I was advised. That's what I learned on my journey. So I buy particular brands. I buy Lily's Kitchen dry food and Applause wet food, because those are the ones that have the highest meat content, and they are good. They've got good quality ingredients for the cats. They are expensive though, but we're willing to pay that because we want the cats to have good nutritious food that's tasty as well. Obviously litter is expensive. It can be cheap. We buy a brand called the World's Best Cat Litter, and that is pricey, but we're willing again to pay for that because we can flush it down the toilet. So you literally scoop, it clumps really well, and it really controls the odour as well, the smell, and you just scoop and put it in that's why we have it in the bathroom, so we can scoop, stick it in the toilet, flush, gone. And it is biodegradable. It's not going to block your toilet, even if you've got a septic tank, it's not going to block it. They've been designed to work through that system and to break down easily. So yeah, those are the main costs I would say that you have to think about. But on top of that, I would advise getting pet insurance. That's very important to have pet insurance for the cats, to make sure that if anything happens, you know, those vet bills can be very expensive. We also pay for an annual membership with our vets, and that covers the annual booster vaccinations, their flea and worming treatments. With indoor cats, you know, you can get away with not doing that as regularly. Typically you would deworm and deflea. There's a treatment that you give them. It's like a gel basically that you just put on top of their head, and that seeps into their skin, and just make sure that you know, they don't get any worms in their tummies or fleas. Usually outdoor cats are more exposed to that from being out and about, so you would give it every 3 months. With indoor cats, you can get away with doing that probably every 6 months. I just like to be on it because we're still tracking things in from the outside world when we come in. You know, they sniff our shoes. We take our shoes off at the door again to make sure that we're not tracking anything that's on the bottom of our shoes from the outside world around the house, because the cats are walking on that with their paws, and then they lick their paws and ingest that. So yeah, I mean, we try to be conscious of that, but at the same time, they could be exposed to certain elements that could be on our clothes or on the floor by the entrance. So obviously that comes at a cost too. I think those are the main costs really. I mean, otherwise I tend to just love to buy them new toys and spoil them. I buy, you know, different accessories and things for them. So those are just above and beyond costs if you did want to spend on that. And obviously if you did need a cat sitter or you need to put them in a cattery, that is a little bit pricey if you need cover for when you're away. Again, something to consider. The final cost, I would say, is health considerations. So typically the main things that I've read that can happen with ragdolls or with cats is dental issues. So I brush their teeth every day. I probably could brush them more, but I brush them. I have a little routine every night before I go to bed. I brush their fur and I brush their teeth with special cat toothpaste from the vets, and that just makes sure that it's the same as us, just plaque build up, because you know they can get basically a build up of plaque on their teeth. They can have dental issues, and then that can cause just discomfort, pain, expensive costs in the future as well, vet bills. So I just want to be on it. I want to make sure that their teeth are healthy, that oral hygiene is there. So I brush their teeth, but you can also have issues with fur balls. So again, that's why I brush, to eliminate them having issues with fur balls, too much of that being ingested, because they're licking themselves clean, having too much of that ingested in their tummy and their system. And, you know, I know you shouldn't always Google things, but you know, I had read online that cats can choke and die from fur balls. Nico tends to wheeze. It's almost like he's they've never actually really thrown up with fur balls, but it almost sounds like he's wheezing and struggling, and that's because he has a trapped fur ball build up, and he will somehow he's almost like pulling it up to then swallow it back down, and drinking water does help with that. So I have a cat water fountain, because having that flowing water encourages cats to drink more. But and I have a little gel that was given to me by the vet that I bought, and I will put that in his food once a day, and that sort of helps with breaking down some of those fur balls in his tummy. But again, that's something to consider. And then I've also read that they can have cardiac heart disease related issues. So I'm not sure if there's really anything you can do about that. I think that might just be hereditary, or it's just something that could happen. Perhaps controlling it with their weight. You know, I've read that ragdolls can typically get obese or get overweight from eating too much. So yeah, I mean, it's just something to really consider. The quality and the type of food you're giving them, you know, making sure they're not stressed, they're not anxious, that they have a comfortable home environment, making sure they drink lots of water, and making sure that you brush their teeth and brush their fur. I think if you just did that, hopefully they should be okay. And really just getting them to play and run around is important. You know, they should be active. They shouldn't be just sleeping all day and not really moving much at all, which can typically happen as well. So I'm going to stop the video there, but I really hope this was useful, and please do comment. Just let me know if this was useful at all for you and where you're at in your journey. I'd love to hear from you. All right, take care guys. Bye.